Welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth. My name is Natalie, and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Today is really special. It's really special because after 40, with the climate that we're at, with jobs being scarce, people are losing their jobs, we're trying to find work. I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw this influencer, and we're going to give credit where credit is due. Her name is the.joy.edit, and I will link her in the description box for you. You can follow her there. Let's get right into it. Let's see what she says, and then we're going to talk about it because it seems like getting a job may not be as easy as we think.
I got a comment on one of my posts about being 50 and laid off. I'm actually 51 now, but he said he was a personal development coach, and he said that you have to put together a personal brand to get hired. A personal brand to get a job? Maybe I am showing my age. I don't know. I'm not. What am I gonna do to show a personal brand on a resume? Like, go to my LinkedIn. Like, how do you create your personal brand on LinkedIn? Like,
I think a lot of us are lost, right? Because the old days of putting a resume together and that being it, you have to be competitive. Your resume has to stand out. So I did a search on ChatGPT, and I'm going to share this with you. And actually, let's look through some of the comments before we go to ChatGPT, because someone says, unfortunately, it's true, don't need to overdo, but groom all your profiles and create a page portfolio. Branding is important, even for this purpose. But like, what is a brand, right? What is a brand? Do you know what a brand is? Drop me a comment if you've been using this. Maybe the younger generation is using this, but if you're 50 and you're used to sending out your resume and just putting it together the old-fashioned way, it looks like there's a whole new way to do this. To get hired at that age, you need to have connections, someone said. Well, it never hurts to have connections, right? But if you don't have connections to the place you want to get hired, I guess you need a brand. And someone says, yes, I said that. So this must be the person that told her that. Your brand is what sets you apart from everybody else. You do not need to be some TikTok influencer. But remember, there are more people seeking jobs than there are available jobs. So how do you stand out? Establish your authority and build your brand on LinkedIn. A person is either positioning themselves as a job seeker or a leader. The leader is the one who will get hired. Do you hear that? The leader is the one who will get hired. So, to your point about not understanding why you need a personal brand to get a job, consider that a job market is not the same as it was 5 years ago. It is not enough to be qualified and have a nice resume anymore. Say what? How many of you didn't know that? How many of you have been putting out a resume and you're just like, why can't I get hired? Why are these people not calling me back? Right? So, we're going to talk about it. And so what I did is I did a search on ChatGPT, and I was like, ChatGPT, let's tell everybody what they need to do to get their brand together. And let's find out if this is even true. Right? Because we're going to ChatGPT will pull resources from online and tell us, hey, what are these employers looking for? Let's check it out. So here we go, ladies. And this is just a quick overview, right? So, because it is a great question. I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, I saw this on TikTok. Is it true? And ChatGPT was like, no, it's not literally true that you must have a personal brand after 50 to get hired, but there's strong evidence and expert opinion that having a well-crafted personal brand gives you a significant advantage, especially later in your career. In a hyper-competitive job market, your personal brand can help you stand out, counter biases, and control the narrative about who you are and what value you offer. Why is this idea gaining traction? Let's talk about it. Let's walk through why it's gaining traction, a step-by-step guide. I'm going to take this step-by-step guide that ChatGPT has given me and share with you. I'll create a PDF and link it in the comments below. You can download it for free. So anyway, hiring is more competitive now. And if you've been looking for a job, I'm sure you know that. Recruiters often screen candidates by Googling them, checking LinkedIn, or seeing what digital footprint they have. If you don't show up well, or you don't show up at all, you risk being invisible or judged by what little information exists. So this also goes for if you have too much information. And when I say TMI, like if you are online twerking, your employer is going to see that. If you are online talking bad about people, that's going to be seen online. So now more than ever, with employers being able to Google you, you need to represent yourself in a way online where someone who's going to hire you is going to take you seriously. And because they're going to look at that, and they're going to look at you as a representation of their company. And if you are representing yourself in a way that doesn't align with their company values, they're just going to chuck the resume aside. They're not even going to look at it. I don't care what your credentials are. You're not going to get looked at. So, age bias and assumptions exist, often unconsciously. If a hiring manager sees a long career, a graduation date decades ago, or minimal online presence, they might, fair or not fair, make assumptions about being out of date, resistant to change, or not tech savvy. A personal brand allows you to push back on those assumptions by showing you are current, adaptable, and relevant. Exactly. Because if you're online, you show that, hey, you know how to access the internet, you know how to use these tools that they may be asking you to use, and you're also maybe going to be online talking about your point of view on things, which also helps you with your brand. So make sure what you're saying really aligns with who you are authentically, because just like the employer's interviewing you, you're interviewing the employer. So you want employers to seek you out who you align with. And I think this is a great way to do it. I mean, wow. I didn't know that was a thing. I was looking through TikTok and I was like, wow, let's share, let's talk about this, right? So many job opportunities aren't posted publicly. Oh, say what? Oh, that's that whole thing about you got to know somebody, right? Because some of these jobs are not posted. They're filled via referrals, networking, or recruiters proactively finding candidates. So that's why LinkedIn kind of works well, because LinkedIn is a way recruiters can look at you, they can see your profile, and if there's a job opening, they will reach out to you, right? And a strong personal online presence or brand, right? Consistent messaging makes you more discoverable and likable when someone is looking. You know, it really makes sense. Does it create more work for you? It does, in a sense, right? But it could be really well worth it. Like, let's say you just posted one thing and you stayed on brand with whatever that is. And we're going to talk about branding. We're going to talk about what that means to brand here in a minute. But before we do, we're going to talk about what's true and where the must is overstated, about like you must do this. So you can still get hired without an elaborate personal brand, especially in roles or industries where hiring process is more traditional, relationship based, or local, non-digital, right? So you know somebody, the company itself is a smaller business, they're not digital. But the brand doesn't have to be flashy or big either. It just needs to be coherent, honest, and aligned with your target role. Even though, like, I'm on this channel, I talk about things related to life, I still bring in that I'm a nurse, and I try to stay aligned with holistic healing in my brand, because that's what nursing is about, right? So if someone looks at my brand here, they're gonna see that I talk about things in a holistic way, and I try to be as non-biased as possible. I try not to put too much of my personal information. And when I say personal information, you don't want to be putting things about yourself that you would never want anybody to see. And I'm not saying to lie. And I'm not saying to be inauthentic. A lot of people post things like they're arguing with people. You see people posting like videotaping arguments and things like that, and they're posting that online. When that's up on your profile, anyone can see that. And if they're seeing you in a situation in a bad light where you're screaming and you're yelling and you're going back and forth with somebody and it just doesn't look becoming, this may get your resume tossed aside. Yes, you're going to do this work. A brand is not a magic bullet. So there has to be substance behind it. What are your skills, your experience, the results you've gotten? So let's say you're, I'm a nurse. So let's say you're a home health nurse. What are the results you've gotten? Right? What are your skills? I'm going to talk about my skills as a nurse, inserting IVs. I'm going to talk about things that are relevant to nursing, cardiac care. If cardiac care is my specialty, I'm going to talk about EKGs, cardiac medication, so that when somebody looks at my profile, they can see like, hey, she knows what she's talking about. She's up with the time. So I'm going to talk about those new cardiac meds that are out there, those new cardiac procedures that are out there, and maybe give my opinion, or even just bringing them up to show that I am aware. I'm aware enough and I'm keeping up with new procedures, new medications that patients are going to be prescribed. If I'm talking about medications that were only used like 50 years ago, that may not be enough. You need to be up with the time, even though those medications are being used. And that's great that you have that tribal knowledge from long ago, but you still need to be up to date. So building a personal brand at 40 or 50 is really not optional. If you want to compete in more competitive spaces, is what it's coming down to. It's a strategic move. It shifts the odds in your favor. So how do you build a personal brand? Well, here's a roadmap. ChatGPT created a roadmap for us, and I'm just going to go through and we're going to talk about that. You want to clarify what your brand is or what you want your brand to be. So identify your core strengths, expertise, and passions. What are you uniquely good at? What do people often recognize you for? What topics do you naturally lean into? So you want this to feel natural, not forced, right? Because this way, also, you're going to find a position that's a natural fit for you. Like, it's not forced. Sometimes we just need to work because we need the money. But isn't it better if you're going to create a brand, at least you create a brand around things that you like, your interests, things that you lean into. And that way, those recruiters that lean into you are going to be leaning into you because of the things that you lean into. So it's a win-win situation. Right? So define the problem you solve. Now, this is one of the most important things. This is something that I've had to do for my brand online, and I'm constantly redefining my online brand. I have a brand here on this channel. I have other channels where I'm defining the brand, and sometimes it takes a little bit of work to see where your comfort zone is. I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to share this with you because as I created my brand, like, you can do this through ChatGPT. So on this channel, this is what I help women do. I help women over 40 step into their authentic self so they can reclaim their confidence, set boundaries, set stronger boundaries, and create a life that finally feels like their own. That's what I do on this channel. So when you go through my content, you're gonna see I talk about confidence. I talk about reclaiming your authentic self. I talk about setting strong boundaries. I'm big on setting boundaries because this is how you are going to step into your authentic self. And stepping in your authentic self has kind of a formula, right? Like, of setting boundaries, reclaiming your confidence. And then at the end of the day, what do you want? What does the person want? They want to feel like their life is their own, like they're not being manipulated or guided by other people. Like, you want to feel like you are in control of your life. So that's what I do on this channel. So this is just for an example. I'm going to give you a few more. Here are some more. I know a hook sounds like you're hooking someone. No, a hook really tells somebody, what is it that my brand, what is it that I do? Like, what is it that I do for a living, right? So if someone's looking, they're going to be like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And that hook is going to grab their attention. So I'm going to go through a few sample hooks. Like, here's one. I help professional women over 40 redefine their career path so they can build meaningful work that aligns with who they've become, not who they used to be. I help women in perimenopause or menopause understand their changing bodies so they can manage symptoms naturally and feel in control of their health again, right? So what is it that you do? And what is it that the person's looking for? They're looking to feel in control of their health again. What is it that you do? You redefine career path to help people build meaningful work so that why? So that they align with who they've become, not who they used to be. You're helping people. This is how they're not who they used to be anymore. They are now who they want to be after they talk to you, right? These are just some examples. I'm going to put this, don't worry. I know I'm going through this pretty quickly. I'm going to put it in a PDF so that if you want to create a brand, you can use this information and create your brand. So the next thing is, you want to provide evidence. Recruiters check online. Your brand is already being judged. Why leave it to chance? So you want to provide evidence about what you're saying. In healthcare, I can't put my patient's name out there, but I can talk about putting in an IV line, how I did it. I can talk about cardiac care, taking care of my patient in a telemetry unit, reading the EKGs and things like that, PVC waves or ST waves and all of that. When you have a heart attack, these are things that when someone who's looking for you, if someone's looking for a nurse to work in cardiac care, that they want to know that you want to be providing evidence out there that you know what you're talking about. That's it. You know that you are basically that you are who you say you are, because recruiters will check. They will check for that, right? And of course, you may have to take a test. You will get interviewed, right? And so you will have to come with your credentials and all of that. So now you want to pick a target audience. Who are you targeting, right? Like, so this is important. Are you targeting recruiters? Hiring managers in a certain industry? Are you looking for medical device industry, hospital? Are you looking for an upper management job? So make sure that you understand who you're talking to, right? Because your content needs to align with who you're talking to. What you're saying and what you're posting. Maybe you're not comfortable talking online, but you're going to make like daily posts or something about your area of expertise. And that doesn't always mean that you have to show up with your face. Of course, your face is going to be your brand because that's who you're selling. You're selling yourself. Craft your tagline and things like that. Those are just little cute things that you can put on your page. And you want to clean up to optimize your presence online. Make sure your profile is updated, keyword optimized, and tells a forward-looking story, not just a reverse chronology. And what does that mean? That means like you're not just talking about the past, like I said, right? Like past medications for cardiac. I want to talk about future, like what is the future? What are future innovations coming? What I think about those. And so they know that I am forward looking also, because sometimes they're worried that when you have all this experience that maybe you're stuck in your ways and it's going to be hard to get you up to date with what's happening today. So you want to show that you are up to date, if that makes sense. Google yourself and see what comes up. Google yourself. Clean up anything that's outdated, potentially embarrassing, or inconsistent with your brand, because you want that if somebody Googles your name, that it's consistent across the board. Maybe you had a dating profile somewhere and you know what, like maybe you were younger, right? Like, and you had yourself out there and you're like, oh yeah, that picture, maybe I need to close that account, get rid of that, like clean that up so that the view that the employer has of me is not a bad one, because they're going to see that. They might be like, hey, maybe you're dressed, it's a dating profile. So maybe you're not dressed in a way that would look professional. You just want your brand online to just align itself, if that's your goal. Yeah. And you want to create and share content. And like I said, you may not be like me where you want to get online and you want to talk, but like maybe you could do You could do posts. And, maybe create like short newsletters or something like that. Posting once in a while is okay, but you just want to be consistent. So like I said, once a week, twice a month. They just want to see that you're active on your pages and that you're consistent and that your brand is consistent. And this is going to offer you the ability to network strategically because, like I said, once you put your brand out there, people see who you are. You're going to attract those people who are looking for your brand, right? Who are looking for you. In a way, it's kind of crazy. When I started reading through this, I'm like, oh, so this is a way to kind of interview the people that are going to approach you so that you make sure that you're really aligned with a job that they're reaching out to you about, right? So that you're not getting these positions and you're just like, yeah, I could do that, but this is not really what I want. And that could happen, but you see what I'm saying. There's more to this. There's mindset, there's internal work, overcoming limiting beliefs. That's all a mindset shift. But obviously, this is a huge mindset shift because this is like, I guess the world is not what it used to be, right? Like, it's not just about sending out your resume anymore. And you could just do that, and that could get you hired depending on the situation. But if you're looking for that edge, I think this is the way to go. Let me know what you think about this. I don't know, with AI out there and all of this going on. Oh, and something else I want to say, because I did use ChatGPT and I do use ChatGPT to look up things. Do not use ChatGPT to create a resume and send that in. They know. All these companies out here are using ChatGPT also. So they're able to discern whether or not like you just copied and pasted from ChatGPT. Don't ever do that. You can use it to gather information, right? But then you got to make it your own. You have to make it your own. Do not copy paste from ChatGPT. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think about this. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this, about having to brand yourself now as we are in this new era of AI and it's so competitive out here for work. Did you ever think you would be here? Let me know if you have branded yourself, how you've done it. Share so that our ladies and gentlemen out there can see. All right. Well, thank you for joining me and I will see you in the next one. Love you.